Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we have 3 new cards to look at. A new Produce SSR for Mano, Support SSR for Kaho, and Support SR for Chiyoko. Keep in mind that Mano and Kaho are limited. However, due to them being the new Twilight's Collection cards, these may be returning as Twilight's Collection does, so they may come around a little more often than the usual limited, but do understand that there will be a break before we see them next. So if you are a fan of Mano or a fan of Kaho, or just like visual teams, definitely pull now. Starting things off, we have Mano. Kicking off Shiny Colors' answer to Fest banners in other games, we have Twilight's Collection Mano, otherwise Mano 8. She's a pure visual unit that, when fully evolved, gains access to 3 separate appeals, a plethora of passives including a massive 200% visual alongside 100% Vocal Dance Rainbow passive, and has the highest total stat uncaps on a single card, being able to raise her visual by 500 and the rest of her stats by 200. She also actively supports Rainbow teams thanks to her passives being as powerful as they are. With access to AoE on her 4-star appeal and Interest Ignore on her 1-star appeal, Mano is truly built to deal with any and all situations. Her passives are incredibly easy to fulfill, and don't suffer from low activation chances either. She's an incredibly expensive card to evolve thanks to the anti-Hazuki measures of Twilight's Collection. That's about as close to a weakness as you can get with her. She is incredibly expensive again, just to really nail that home. She is invaluable to Visual Illuminate, and visual teams in general if you have the space for her. Her roles are Center, Buffer, Attack All, and Interest Ignore, and I very highly recommend pulling for this Mano. Just be reasonable about it. Mano's 0-star skill is a visual 3.5 appeal that raises your Vocal Dance and Visual by 30% for 3 turns. This links into a Vocal Dance Visual 50% buff for 5 turns. At 1 star, Mano unlocks a visual 5.0 appeal that ignores interest and raises your Vocal Dance and Visual by 50% for 4 turns, and links into a Vocal Dance Visual 100% up for 5 turns. Her 4-star skill is a visual 4.0 appeal that hits all judges, raises your Vocal Dance and Visual by 100% for 3 turns, and links into a Vocal Dance Visual 100% up for 5 turns. At 1 star, Mano unlocks a visual 60% up and Vocal Dance 30% up passive that only requires the turn count to be 2 or earlier. This has a 30% chance to activate once, and this unlocks a visual plus 150 uncap. At 2 stars, she unlocks a visual 100% up, Vocal Dance 50% up, that requires the turn count to be 3 or later, but 4 or earlier. So in other words, this can only activate on turn 3 or turn 4 only. This has a 30% chance to activate once, and it has a Vocal Dance Visual plus 100 uncap as well. At 3 stars, Mano gets a visual 120% up and Vocal Dance 100% up passive that requires 1 or more Vocal Dance and Visual active buffs to be currently online. So you would need 1 Vocal, 1 Dance, and 1 Visual active buff in order for this to work. This has a 20% chance to activate twice, and this unlocks a Mental plus 200 uncap. At 4 stars, she has her Rainbow passive that also unlocks a Vocal Dance Visual plus 100 uncap. Her Memory appeal when maxed out is a Visual 2.5 that links into a Vocal Dance Visual 2.0 appeal to all judges. Now about that Rainbow passive. The main thing that is unique about Twilight's Collection are 2 things. The first is that they have a unique passive that is unlocked the moment you get the card, and is not something that you have to spend SP to unlock, it's just always active. Mano's TC passive is that all members, including herself, get a plus 5% to their overall appeal strength. Secondly, at 4 stars, Twilight's Collection cards unlock a Rainbow passive. Mano's happens to be a visual 200% up alongside Vocal Dance 100% up that simply requires Mano on your team. It has a 30% chance to activate twice, but it has a limit of only being able to activate once per turn. So if we see another card with the exact same 4-star passive, only one of them will be able to activate on the same turn. Mano's unique features as a Twilight's Collection card are the TC passive, which we mentioned. It's active at all points and does not have to be unlocked using SP, and the Rainbow passive available from 4 stars. Raising your entire team's appeal strength by 5% makes her an immediate threat on any team that can afford to use her. While it's uncertain at the moment if this 5% is factored in during or after initial appeal calculations, this can range from kind of appreciated to very scary when you consider the type of teams that can make the most use out of this ability from Mano. When we start being able to stack these types of passives, this has the potential to skyrocket in value. Now, a sticking point to Twilight's collection is how expensive they are to 4-star compared to any other limited card in the game. While the ridiculously strong passives are tempting, the bottom line is that without Hazuki as an option, 4-star is not feasible for the average player, especially if you're not prone to paying a lot for these types of games. Just comparing Mano 8 to a 4-star Mano 6, I would say the tipping point is around 2 stars. The sheer volume of Mano 8's passives combined with 2 capable appeals and an abundance of stat uncaps helps make her stand out, especially with her TC passive in play. By 3-star, it becomes no contest in favor of Mano 8. Understand these banners will return with time semi-frequently, so don't overcommit for now. For the support recommendations. Kaho and Mikoto are arguably 2 of the strongest visual supports in the game currently, so these 2 feel incredibly vital. If you use her as a non-center, consider Daikichi Kogane for gaming purposes. Halloween Hiyori is another great staple card to consider, alongside cards like Mei or Nichika if you run her alongside Mikoto. If you missed out on Uchikuru Mei, Permanent Mei is a great alternative. Asahi needs a bit more maintenance to utilize her passives, but pairs up great with Mei. If gaming isn't necessary, Visual Kogane has great masteries to help build, alongside Mamimi and Yuika for that on peak of synergy, or cards like Chiyoko if you just need a generic visual support. For the team recommendation, truth be told, it really doesn't matter which Hiyori SSR you pick. Your game plan revolves around setting up Illumine link appeals and letting Mano clean house using her ridiculously powerful passives and appeals, while Meguru whittles down judges with her AoE appeals. Meguru 7 plays really well into all of Mano's passives, so they're a great duo regardless of Mano's star count. Since Fest bonus units are a statistic that matter a lot in grades 6 and 7, your last 2 members are ideally visual-based units that happen to have a lot of points for the season. You may find yourself swapping those members out every few seasons, depending on how the trends go. Just let Illumine do all the work, and it should be okay. On to the grades. Mano as a center, I would say, is anywhere from S+ to SS. This might be a weird point of contention, but Mano's memory appeal is very strong, but I don't feel that it's the entire point of her kit. It's not to say that this memory appeal is bad. In fact, it's Meguru 6's, but a little bit stronger on the link appeal portion. If and only if you have Mano at 4-star, then Meguru takes Mano's place, which is a bit weird to say, but it's because Mano has such a strong AoE appeal that having her on the visual position is a little better than Meguru. Without the AoE appeal, or intended as a visual cannon, Mano is a competent center in this current meta. As a unit, I don't want to pull the trigger on saying this card is broken just yet. Naturally, at 4 stars, this card blows practically every limited produced card out of the water. The issue is that because she's the first of her kind, we have no point of reference as to how good she is in the vacuum of TC cards. She's of course incredibly powerful now, but let's wait and see how future TC cards pan out before calling her SS tier. Let's just understand that Mano is strong. Next up we have Kaho. Our first Twilight's Collection support is Kaho, a pure visual card that also gives us a glimpse of what supports will be designed like going forward for Twilight's Collection. There's a few things to note. The level 45 upgrade is back, which has always been hit or miss. Some cards have it, but not all of them. Maybe this will be a common thing with Twilight's Collection. Her Idol's Bond also starts out stronger than the average support SSR, starting at level 40, and ends up 5 levels stronger than the typical level 80 support when she reaches level 80. Plus 15 over plus 10 is actually a pretty big deal, and opens up a lot of possibilities for this type of card. She has an insanely loaded kit on all fronts, and has rapidly become a staple in every visual build that can afford to get copies of her. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, reaching that plus 15 at level 80, Rest Boost, and Stamina support, which actually reaches plus 5 at level 70, and she gets 5 unique support skills. Unit Mastery SP, reaching plus 10 at level 75. Visual Mastery SP, reaching plus 12 at level 80. Visual Mastery Visual Limit Up, reaching plus 8 at level 75. Visual Mastery Stamina, reaching plus 6 at level 70. And Perfect Mastery, reaching plus 8 at level 80. Her support appeal does scale. At level 60, it's a visual 3.1 appeal that raises your visual by 5% for 3 turns. By level 80, it evolves to a visual 3.5 appeal that raises your visual by 25% for 3 turns. Her TFD idea is visual, her insight token for grad is vocal, and her proficiency in landing point is for SP. Kaho's 0-star passive is a visual 60% up and attention 30% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or earlier. This has a 20% chance to activate twice, and also unlocks a visual plus 50 uncap. Her 1-star appeal is a visual 3.5 that raises your attention by 30% for 4 turns and 20% for 2 turns, and also unlocks another visual plus 50 uncap. Her 2-star passive is a visual 100% up and attention 50% up that requires 1 or more attention up active buffs. This has a 20% chance to activate twice, and again unlocks a visual plus 50 uncap. At 3 stars, she unlocks a visual 5.0 appeal that raises your attention by 50% for 4 turns, and duets automatically with Kaho. This also unlocks a visual mental combined plus 50 uncap. At 4 stars, she unlocks a rainbow passive as well as a visual mental plus 50 uncap. Said rainbow passive is a visual 180% up that only requires 1 or more active attention up buffs. This has a 20% chance to activate once and has a limit of once per turn. This means that you can't stack this passive on all 5 members and have it activate on the same turn, only one of those will take priority at a time. Kaho earns a very easy double S. Kaho is incredibly strong. Her biggest weakness is that at 0 star she has access to no appeal, but makes up for it with access to virtually everything you'd ever want in terms of support masteries outside of perfect mastery. And she even still has a good passive to work with as well. It's the exact same strength as the 2-star passive on Nuts Choco Jelly Natsuha, with 10% less activation chances, but twice as many times to activate. Much like with Mano, it's best to set a limit on how far you'd want to upgrade her. 1 star allows you to get her appeal, and enables double attention up passives if Visual Hokura get a Gyudon Rinzai equivalent, who needs 2 or more active attention buffs in order to activate her gold passive. 2 star is perhaps best both for passives and masteries, but can be a bit of an investment. Visual teams are already seeing plenty of success with this Kaho, but be wary before diving too deep on this first banner. While I don't mention it here, Kaho is another very high recommendation, especially if you're building visual. There is no other support like her right now, and it's a pretty good idea to at least get 1 copy of her and maybe be able to upgrade her later over time. Moving right along into a non-Twilight's collection card, we have Chiyoko. Our event support is Chiyoko, a pure visual card to fall in line with the gacha theme of visual this time around. She has a deceptively good 2-star passive for being an event card, combined with an okay enough mastery, and another decently strong appeal at 4 stars. She's a perfectly good enough visual starter to work with, especially if you can raise your attention, which her appeal can do for you. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, Rest Boost, and Trouble Guard, and her unique support skill is Visual Mastery SP, reaching +5 at level 65. Her TFD idea is Visual, her Insight token for Grad is Mental, and her proficiency and landing point is in Visual. Chiyoko's 1-star passive is a visual 12% up that requires you to be in the visual position. This has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a visual 40% up that requires 1 or more active attention up buffs, and has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a +50 to visual, and her 4-star appeal is a visual 3.0 that raises your attention by 30% for 3 turns. Her event passive is a visual 8% up that requires Chiyoko on your team, and it has a 30% chance to activate twice. Chiyoko gets anywhere from a B- to a B. I think Chiyoko is a little less than okay, but okay nonetheless. In terms of passives, she's actually a tiny bit better than old SR Hokura supports, and the appeal is just outright better in most cases, as it has much less of an actual downside, all things considered. If your visual wing runs need an appeal to pick up, this one is certainly not bad to consider. You naturally won't be using her for high-level grade fest shenanigans, but she's perfectly good for those who are just getting started. I recommend farming for this Chiyoko while she's here. And that'll do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Let me know if you like the little visual update for Twilight's collection. It's been a while since I changed the overall formula, and I did a little bit of tweaking it to make sure that the 4-star passive and TC passive stuff was a little more out there, at least to make it seem more important. So if you have any thoughts on that, or you like it or you don't like it, feel free to let me know in the comments. Next time we'll be talking about the next banner, which seems to be a Mikoto. We have no idea if she's limited or not. Rumors are that she probably will be limited, as she has had 2 permanents in a row, so we'll just have to see. And we don't know what the support is yet, so let's look forward to the banner together. Till next time, I've been Sho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.